legend that is Geoff Barker on the line.
Hiya, Sydney. How are you? Lovely to talk to you. I think first time, isn't it, on this?
Yes, yeah, it is. I'm normally here during the weekday, so I'm a little bit confused. It's kind of like I feel like it's a Monday, but it's not. It's a Sunday.
Well, as I said to you just before we came on air, you sound so bright and bubbly. It's almost like you're doing a breakfast show. So there we are.
Yes, except in the mornings I'm not bright and bubbly at all. Hence why I've been put on the evening shows.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, wonderful. Anyways, great to talk to you.
And you, yeah. So I'm very excited. You've got some tracks lined up for us. You just take us on a rock and roll adventure. Yeah, get on with it. Enough for me.
Right, well, we're kicking off with a track from the great Eddie Cochran. By the way of remembering the man who's playing drums on it, not a household name by any manner of means, but he's probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, rock and roll drummer that ever was. He played on thousands of sessions in the USA. His name was Earl Palmer. He was born this day in 1924, but he played on so many hits for all sorts of people like Fats Domino, Richie Valens, Larry Williams, Etta James, Eddie Cochran, and Little Richard. He was on loads and loads of Little Richard's hits. But he had this wonderful sort of, rhythmic steam train style of drumming, shown to no greater extent than on this one. With Earl Palmer on drums, born this day, 1924. Here's Eddie Cochran and Something Else.
Oh, look at there. Here she comes. Here comes that girl again. Wanted to date her since I don't know when, but she don't notice me when I pass. She goes with older guys from out of my class, but that can't stop me from thinking to myself, she's sure fine looking, man. She's something else. Hey, look at there, across the street. There's a car made just for me. To own that car would be a luxury, but right now I can't afford the gas. A brand new convertible is out of my class, but that can't stop me from thinking to myself, that car's fine looking, man. It's something else. Hey, look at here. Just wait and see. Work hard and save my dough. I'll buy that car that I've been wanting so. Get me that girl and we'll go riding around. We'll look real sharp with a white top down. I'll keep right on a dreaming and thinking to myself, when it all comes true, man, wow, that's something else. Look at here. What's all this? Never thought I'd do this before, but here I am knocking on the door. My car's out front and it's all mine. Just a 41 Ford, not a 59. I got that girl and I'm thinking to myself, she's sure fine looking, man. Wow, she's something else.
Wonderful. The great Eddie Cochran, Something Else with Earl Palmer on drums. As he is on this next one, I thought, as it's such a great drummer and it's his birthday today, as I said, he's not around, born in 1924. Let's play another great example. I mentioned all the Little Richard hits he was on, including this one. Some incredible drumming and incredible voice, of course, of the late, great Little Richard with Good Golly, Miss Molly.
When you're rocking down the road smiling, so like the bone. Oh, the golly be smiling, so like the bone. Oh, when you're rocking and a rolling, can't hear your mama call. Going to the corner, gonna buy a diamond ring, which is hugging me, kiss me, make me ting-a-ling-a-ling. The golly be smiling, so like the bone. Oh, when you're rocking and a rolling, can't hear your mama call.
The great Little Richard and Good Golly Miss Molly with that amazing drumming of Earl Palmer, born this day 1924. Now, how did you get on with doing your clocks, putting the clocks back last night? I just realised, looking at it a little bit earlier on this afternoon, I have just today had to alter 21 different timepieces in and around our house, in the kitchen, in the car. I couldn't believe it. Obviously, you know, things in the bathroom and the dining room and stuff, but you got like the microwave, the clock on the oven, dishwasher, one in the car. I've got a couple outside the house as well. I'm thinking this is absolutely crazy because normally every time this year, anyway, when we change the clocks twice a year, I do some musical reminders. So I thought, well, let's do one of those. And it's a sad anniversary today, actually, this week, the week that Fats Domino died 3 years ago. But he recorded a great song all about the clock. So have a little think. There will be one that you have forgotten about somewhere, either sitting in a drawer or in a spare room or something. So make sure you've checked it all out and put the clocks back. And as a little reminder, here's Fats Domino and Tick Tock, Stop the Clock.
Tick tock, stop the clock. Tick tock, stop the clock. Time keep moving on, soon my baby will be gone away. For me, tick tock, stop the clock. Tick tock, stop the clock. She gonna catch the train at 3, that'll be the end of me. Tick tock, stop the clock. Tick tock, stop the clock. Tick tock, stop the clock. For my baby would be mine if I could just turn back the time. Tick tock, stop the clock. For my baby would be mine if I could just turn back the time. Tick tock, stop the clock.
Remembering the great Fats Domino, and a song to make you think about maybe you haven't done all the clocks or timepieces or the car or whatever, but check it out. TikTok, Stop the Clock. A brand new release now, a band I have played on the show in the past for a couple of years or so. They're from Devon, very popular three-piece group. They are called the Delatones. And they're fronted by vocalist, bass player Wendy Wolf, who writes most of the songs. Her husband Pete plays lead guitar, and I've got a guy called Stuart on drums. It's their first release on Western Star Records. The album is called Rock Somnia, spelled R-O-K, Somnia, which is great. And here's the song, the Delatones, Rock Somnia.
I can't sleep because that beat shakes me down from my head to my feet. Rock Somnia. There's no stopping rock Somnia. Can't stop the rockin'. Stay awake all night. Stay awake all day. R-O-K-S-O-M-N-I-A. I count sheep, but don't get far. Who needs sleep when there's rock and roll guitar? Rock Somnia. I can feel it, rock Somnia. Time won't heal it. I don't want to sleep, only want to play. R-O-K-S-O-M-N-I-A. When I hear a rocking tune, it comes right Omnia. When there's music in my head, that's when I say goodbye to my bed. Feel that beat going boom, boom, boom. Close my eyes and I dance around the room. 4:30, can't take no more. Look out, shoes, 'cause we're gonna hit the floor. Rocksomnia, there's no stopping Rocksomnia. Can't stop the rock, stay awake all night, stay awake all day. IOKSOMNIA. I can't sleep 'cause that beat shakes me down from my head to my feet. Rocksomnia, I can feel it. Rocksomnia, when time won't heal it. I don't wanna sleep, only wanna play. IOKSOMNIA. Rocksomnia, there's no stopping Rocksomnia. Can't stop the rocking, stay awake all night, stay awake all day. IOKSOMNIA.
Wonderful stuff. Devon-based Delatones, the Delatones, three-piece, very popular rock and roll band, been on the scene for quite a few years. Their first album on Western Star, the title track Rocksomnia. I really like that, very catchy. ROKSOMNIA, wonderful. And it's a 12-track album, and they're all their original songs as well. The Delatones, D-E-L-L-A, Tones. Wonderful stuff. Onto a band who are British legends, and two of them, both birthdaying this week. Hank Marvin and Bruce Welch of the Shadows are 79. Well, actually, Hank's 79 this week and Bruce is next week, so I thought I'd combine it. This is one of their most famous tracks, big hit from 1961. And believe it or not, this version in stereo lay unreleased until 2008. And it was the one they used to do their famous little shadow steps to whenever they appeared on TV. Great stuff. So by way of saying happy birthday to Hank and Bruce, here are the Shadows and FBI. classic sound of the Shadows and FBI from 1961. And happy birthday, Hank, and happy birthday, Bruce. A week apart, and they're both going to be 79. There's a great video, if you want to check out YouTube, of them doing that on the children's TV show Crackerjack, when it was a hit at the time, doing all the famous dance steps. Wonderful. Ending up this little week by paying tribute to a guy. I was very sorry to hear he passed away, Spencer Davis, who was the founded and fronted the Spencer Davis Group in the early 60s, one of the best British bands who came up around that time with the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. He passed away in California, where he was living. He'd been living for some time. He was 81. He was a great musician, played great guitar and harmonica, and his brother in the band, of course, was a young Stevie Winwood, who was the vocalist, played keyboards and guitar. So I thought I must remember Spencer on the show this week and play a track they recorded in 1964, which was, it's not quite rock and roll, but it's a sort of blues rocker, written by the great John Lee Hooker. Here's the Spencer Davis Group and Dimples.
You got dimples in your jaw. You got dimples in your jaw. You got dimples in your jaw. You my babe, I got my eyes on you. I love to see you switch. I saw it up and down the floor. Oh, I love to see you switch. You my babe, I got my eyes on you. You got dimples in your jaw. You got dimples in your jaw. Yeah, dimples in your jaw. You my babe, I got my eyes on you. How? Yeah. I'd love to see you switch. Sorta up and down the floor. You got dimples in your jaw. Sorta up and down the floor. You my babe, I got my eyes on you.
Remembering a great band, the founder member Spencer Davis, who passed away this week, the Spencer Davis Group and Dimples. I said a John Lee Hooker song, the great blues man, and they putting that out as a single when the record company released John Lee Hooker's original, and he came to England, so it sort of eclipsed all the others in front of it. But there we are. But very sorry to hear that. A great band. They ran for a long, long time with various lineups, but always with Spencer Davis fronting the group. Okay, Sydney, that's it. Nice to talk to you, and hopefully we'll do it again sometime.
Yeah, it's been lovely catching up. It's kind of like when you finally meet your hero sort of thing. I've always heard you on a Sunday evening, and it's been great to actually introduce myself. And yeah, thank you so much for taking us through those rock and roll tracks. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Mine too. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your show. Hope it all goes well, and
me
have a good
too.
week, and stay safe. Look after yourself, and you at home.
Yes, you too. Thank you so much, Geoff, and hopefully we'll speak again soon.
And time now for Richard Green to be joined by Geoff Barker for Geoff Barker's Rock and Roll Part 1. Good evening, Geoff. How are you?
I'm fine, Richard. Good evening to you too. Not only struggling with part 2 of your quiz, I haven't got the foggiest.
Okay, all right. I won't put you on the rack then a little later on when we get to the answers. But listen, there's always a good anniversary or two, isn't there, in your rock and roll parts? And I guess we've got some of those coming up this time.
We certainly have. Kicking off with an all-time classic from Little Richard. It's the anniversary today of the birth in 1924 of a man who's one of the greatest rock and roll drummers of all time, if not the greatest. Now, not a household name. His name was Earl Palmer. But within the business and with those who know, he played on literally thousands of sessions in the 50s and 60s and beyond, just immense amount of hits with Fats Domino and Little Richard and Larry Williams and Etta James and Eddie Cochran and so many more. I could have picked out 100. A fantastic drummer. And this particular track, one of Richard's classics, Lucille, Richard said to him, I want you to make it sound like the steam trains that I remember as a kid, doing that when Richard was living near a railway line when he was a young lad. And he told Earl Palmer he wanted a steam train type drumming. And boy, did he do it on this. Little Richard with Earl Palmer on drums and Lucille.
Not in sight. I asked my friends about her, but all they did was talk. Lucille, please come back where you belong. I've been good to you, baby. Please don't leave me alone. Not in sight. I asked my friends about her, but all they did was talk. Lucille, please come back where you belong. I've been good to you, baby. Please don't leave me alone. Lucille, baby, satisfy my heart. Lucille, baby, satisfy my heart.
Little Richard and Lucille remembering the great Earl Palmer, born this day 1924, with that steam train drumming. And another track he played on coming up in part 2 of our little bit tonight. Hey, Richard, how did you get on putting all your clocks back? Did you do it last night? Did you do it this morning? Have you remembered them all?
No, I haven't. I must admit, now you've sort of said that, I know I've probably got the microwave and the oven to do. All these things have got clocks on nowadays. But I did remember to put the one back on the mantelpiece. I've also got one of those funky satellite clocks in my house as well. So that automatically set itself. The one that always gets me, and I thought it was on automatic, it's the car one. So
You've got it.
Yeah, so there I was driving, ready to start the show at 6 o'clock this evening here on the BBC, and my car clock is saying, it's 5:45, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I've got what have I? And then you suddenly realise that it hasn't gone back. But
Yep.
So a bit of a
that's
mixed bag.
definitely the one I forgot because I was reminded about it by somebody else earlier on. But I counted up today, and this isn't trying to sound grand. We haven't got many rooms in the house, but I had to change the time on 20 timepieces today. If you include, you said microwaves, and the microwave drove me insane. Actually, we haven't got the book for it anymore. The oven, the dishwasher, all the various clock radios in bedrooms and stuff. I've got 2 clocks outside in the garden. One required the use of a ladder because it's up on a building out there, in an outbuilding. And then, of course, there's the watches in drawers that you don't often use, and the car which you so kindly reminded me of. But 20 timepieces is ridiculous. And with that, of course, came all the dark evenings and the rain. So it must be sort of together. But this next tune is for maybe you at home to have a little think about what you haven't put back last night or in the early hours of this morning. No reason to play it other than it's a great bit of classic American vocal group doo-wop, a group called the Jive 5, asking that question at, 20 past 9, 8, what time is it?
What time is it? Listen to the clock. I've just got to know what time is it? It's 5 o'clock. 3 more hours to go till I hold her in my arms and tell her that I want her for my own. Tick tock, tick tock, listen to the clock. Tick tock, listen to the clock. What time is it? Listen to the clock. Tell me once again. What time is it? It's 6 o'clock. 2 more hours and then I will kiss her sweet lips while the magic of the moonlight makes her mine. Tick tock, better hurry up and put my tie on. Better hurry up. It's almost time. Tick tock, listen to the clock. Tick tock, listen to the clock. What time is it? It's 7 o'clock. Just 1 hour more. What time is it? It's 8 o'clock. Now I'm at her door and my heart is beating fast. The moment's here at last. What time is it? It's time for
I just love all those American vocal group doo-wop groups. The Jive 5, great big hit in America, not over here, from 1962, and what time it is. And I guarantee you will have forgotten one lonely little timepiece somewhere which hasn't gone back. And it might be tomorrow, it might be next month. You find it and think, what time is it? Oh, yes. And maybe you'll think of me. The final one tonight, by way of saying happy birthdays, plural, to Hank Marvin, 79 this week, and his old oppo Bruce Welsh, who is 79 next week. I thought combine the two. This is a great live version of a track which started their first album. It was recorded as a part of a live album with Cliff Richard at a cinema in Kingston in Surrey. The whole concert lay unreleased for 40 years. It was a fantastic recording when we eventually got to hear it. Glorious stereo. Live at the ABC Kingston 1962, The Shadows and Shadoogie. and they went mad. One of those girls screaming was my wife. She was 12 at the time. No, we weren't married then. I met her a year later, I have to say, but yeah, she was there. The Shadows, Shadoogie, great live version. Happy birthday, Hank, 79 this week, Bruce, 79 next week. So it's amazing that concert lay unreleased for so many years. And a great drumming on there from Brian Bennett, who'd only joined the group 2 weeks earlier. Tony Meehan had left, and Jet Harris was with them for a while, and then he left fairly soon afterwards. But happy birthday to the Jew gentleman in question. Okay.
Geoff Barker, how are you, sir?
I'm fine, Martin. How's things with you?
Very well indeed. No cause for complaint at all, despite the really rotten weather that we're having, and you're experiencing the same thing as well.
Ditto, and of course darker that hour earlier. You think, oh dear, it really is wintry now.
Yeah, you're going to cheer us up with some great tunes tonight, I've got to say. Hey,
Martin, how did you get on with putting all the clocks back? Have you done them all? Have you remembered every single one?
Well, you say that, you see, and there's something at the back of my mind says I've missed one.
I've got you now.
But I don't know which one I've missed. There's too many clocks in the house, you know.
Well, you and me both. I know this. This isn't trying to sound grand, because not some of these are just bedroom clocks and, clock radios. I today have changed the time on 20 different timepieces. Not necessarily all clocks, but including things like the microwave oven, which took me forever, the dishwasher,
the oven.
I'd forgotten. I've got one outside the house, one in my workshop, and phones, a couple in a drawer. And, of course, I forgot my car as well. I haven't even done that. It's been so horrible, I don't want to go out and do it. But I'm thinking, I should have done it last night, but then I'd have been up another hour doing this, so there we are.
Here's the thing, see, you have to be very careful, because some of these things change it themselves. So you go to change
Very true.
And that just causes more confusion.
Yes, and then you've gone back. You're 2 hours back. We do have one clock. My son and his family are in New Zealand, so we've always got one by the phone at home, which is set to New Zealand time.
Oh, clever.
And the good thing now is it's now exactly the same as us, only 12 hours apart, which makes it so much easier.
So you can phone them at 3 o'clock in the morning and go, oh, I thought it was the afternoon.
Yeah, right. Which leads into this next track from the Shadows, because it's a clock-related track. I always like to do clock sort of theme songs when we have the clocks forward and back. But it also ties in with the fact that Hank Marvin and Bruce Welch have both got birthdays over the next week. They're both 79. They were great mates in Newcastle, grew up together, played together, etc. Hank's got a birthday this week, and Bruce, his birthday next week. So I thought, well, let's tie all that together. And here's a track from the Shadows, which all fits into that, with My Grandfather's Clock. Great stuff. How about that? Hank Marvin on a 12-string guitar as well, my grandfather's clock. Yeah, while that was playing, Martin and I was singing a little bit of the lyrics together. Can I check that did not go out to air?
Of course it went out to air. More than my job's worth.
Wonderful stuff. Anyway, that's to remind you about that clock somewhere or timepiece tucked away that you haven't changed. And also by way of saying happy birthday to Hank and Bruce, both 79 this week.